he knew what was happening to the people who were anesthetized after he did the corneas. He could see what was happening to them in the next operating room. And I guess eventually he had, as I think I mentioned, he was having nightmares, he couldn't sleep. And his wife, Annie, said to him, "You must stop doing this. It's hideous." He removed the corneas from 2,000 Falun Gong practitioners over a 2-year period. I've seen some other accounts of what's happened to surgeons who do this, but this kind of information does not get out very easily. It's kept very much under control. Yeah, we've heard some really appalling stories, which we account in the book a bit, about how patients are treated and how they're told they have to register, for example, under a Chinese name, because since 2008 there's been a huge pressure on the government not to sell them to foreigners, to sell them only to Chinese nationals. So people will go under and will be registered under a phony name, a Chinese name. But I wish I had more evidence of how it's struck. But let me try to explain that a little bit. I became aware of this quite recently, that with this forced abortion policy for the second child, that somebody was telling me the other day that when a child would be born to a mother who had already had a child, instead of putting the child up for adoption or something, the doctors would stand around in this operating room and they'd think about what's the most effective way of killing the child. So they would, I guess in the one case, they would give the child vaccination with water in the child's head. The child would die. Well, how can you, if you are so dehumanized by doing operations like that, how does it become a problem to take the corneas out of a person's eye or an organ out of a person? Our doctors in the rule of law countries take an oath, of course, to protect human life. But when your medical problem today is how you're going to kill a newborn baby, perfectly healthy newborn baby, what does it do to your sense of humanity and your professional ethics? And I guess that's how these doctors that are doing these operations for lots of money think, well, that's fine. That's just another day. I'm just a butcher in a butcher shop, and this human being is just like a slab of beef or something. I mean, I don't know how they do it. And I've often thought we should ban any doctor involved in organ transplant should not be allowed to go to any civilized country. Now, people will take great offense when I'm in effect saying that China is not a civilized country, but in this area, it's barbaric. And the doctors who are doing it are barbaric. I recall several years ago, there was a transplant conference in Boston, and all the transplant surgeons from around the world came. And one of the surgeons from Tianjin, where they do a lot of this work, was talking to a friend of mine and his wife, and there was a Falun Gong demonstration going on outside the hall, and actually Hillary Clinton spoke to the meeting at about the same time, and this doctor was saying to my friend happened to be from Germany, and the doctor from Tianjin pointed out how many liver transplants they did at his hospital, and my friend said, that's as many liver transplants as we do in all of Germany in a year. And then he said, well, where do you get your organs from? And the doctor's answer, and it's in the book actually, was ask the people demonstrating outside. Now, is that an admission of guilt? I would think that any jury that I've ever appeared in front of would take about 5 minutes on that to find that profession guilty. And I don't know why those people are allowed to go to any transplant conference in countries that practice medicine the way we do in most of the world. I think, in fact, you could probably argue that it's only in China where medicine is practiced this way. This goes back to what I was saying about when human beings have no more value than a goat or something or a chicken. This is the kind of thing that could happen. It's unimaginable in the 21st century.